Hey and welcome back. I'm Tim Corpus, composer and sound designer, and we're looking at more ways to use TouchOSC to help your workflow with your DAW. And we're going to look at how to change a label depending on when you push a button. So addressing parent and children relationships. And this script isn't made by me, so special thanks to somebody on Github, F-L-I-X Flicks. Thanks for making that script. I'm going to show everybody how I use it. So here on GitHub, there are a lot of great examples of different ways that people have made some scripts for TouchOSC. And what we're going to take a look at is how to address controls with parent and children in LUA. So using the address changes, I'm going to use this script so that we can see key changes or key switches between legato, long, staccato, things like that in our DAW with perhaps Spitfire audio or Cinesamples virtual instruments. So I have in the link in the description this address, and you'll be able to download the original file and you could work with that from there. But we're also going to take a look at some of the code now. So this is a software I like to use called Atom, just to do some code editing. And this is the script that we're taking a look at today. So what we're going to use right now is really just the first third of this. And this will make it so that we can hit a button and it'll change the name on a label to the button that we just pressed, which should be the activated item or the active switch in our DAW for whatever articulation we're working with. So first, let's set things up in our editor. So let's add 3 buttons. Copy paste that and copy paste that. Doesn't really matter where they are, but make them big enough to work with. And let's make them different colors. And now we're going to need a label to see what articulation is active. So right click, add a label, and we're going to change this color just for our purpose to purple. And let's make this a bit bigger. So heading back to our code, what we're going to need first is let's select this whole thing. You could do Control A to select all. Let's copy this and then head back into the editor and select the button, this first button. And we're going to remove this OSC message because we don't need it. We don't need that message. Let's go ahead and tighten things up here and paste here in script. Let's add the script that we just copied. And for the purposes of this video, you're going to go ahead and delete lines 25 through 12 because we don't need them. So what's going to happen is when we push this button, it's going to change the name on this label. Then when we push this button, it'll also change, and this button, it'll also change. So real quick, let's give a name to each one of these. So we're going to do text, and let's remove the background here. And let's call this one long. Great, so now we have names for our buttons, and those names are the articulations that we're going to call. So heading back to our script, let's make sure that this button is labeled as label. That's the name for our purple button here. Going back to the red button, let's check this out. So it says self, which is the red button, is the red button. And then on the rise, so when we're done pushing it, when we let go, it sends a signal of change the text to red button in forward to label. And this is the name of this item, right? The name that we selected up here. So if this was called label 2, the signal would not be sent. And you can test this out right now if your iPad is connected, if you push that red button, it should have changed the purple to label. So hopefully you saw that label change on the iPad. Now let's add another one. So going back, let's select all of this code here, select all, copy, head over to the blue button and paste that in. And let's call this blue button. And then we're gonna go to the green button, paste that, and turn this to green button. Now these are just the names that we're putting in. You'll see how that works in a second. So now if we go ahead and play this, when we hit red button, we get the red button, blue button, and green button. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and change these to our labels. So we're going to change red button to long, and then blue. Oh, actually we should get rid of that OSC message just to make sure nothing gets confused. Let's change blue button to staccato. And we'll change the green button to pizzicato. And now let's go ahead and press play again. And there we go. It's changing the name in our label. So as you can see, this could be super helpful in changing your articulations in your DAW. So let's take a look at one other thing you should do. In here, we want to change what our MIDI signals are. So let's close up this script and take a look at the MIDI. So I know already from my work with Spitfire and Reaper what the CC numbers are. So let's go ahead and plug those in. Let's pull up the editor. And for our longs, we're going to do CC32. And what we're going to send is a constant value of 1. And that's for the longs. For the staccato, we're going to go with 32 and then a constant value of 40. And again, how do I know these? I've already read through the book and saw what is already set up with Spitfire. And we're going to go to 32, constant, and it's going to be only number 56. So now let's pull up Reaper. And like I said, I already know that CC32 with pressure 1, like it says there, will go to long. And now let's pull up the staccato button. There we go, 40. And that's pizzicato, 56. So when we hit those buttons, it is telling us on the iPad what the name of the articulation we're using is, which that's great. And it's also telling us on the computer what our articulation is. So we'll be able to know in here as well. It's super useful knowing what's going on here to see that on your control surface so you can see in that purple label what articulation are you on. Hopefully this is helpful for your own workflow. Obviously it looks like there are a zillion different ways that you could use label changes. You have in that script, it shows you how you could use this with pagers or with different groupings. That's really important as well, depending on what your template looks like. And hopefully you can see from how I use it, the different ways it works with Spitfire audio or Cinesamples, for example. Thanks to F-L-I-X for your great script. Be sure to check out the Facebook OSC Template Makers group. It's an amazing group of people who are coming up with a lot of great stuff, and you can download some free templates there. And then be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can check out some of the next videos all about using TouchOSC with your DAW and hopefully making your workflow a little better. Thanks for watching.